What's good? It's MMA Don, and today I made predictions for the UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Fiorot. The first fight of the night is a battle between Shitty Njokuani and Reese McKee. Now, Shitty Njokuani has lost his last 3 fights, all by finishes, but in his last fight, it was a first round war for as long as it lasted, where he dropped Polish powerful fighter Michal Olechechuk in the first before getting finished in a comeback. So Shitty Njokuani definitely has very good stand-up skills, but he really needs a win here, or his UFC career might come to a halt. Now, Reese McKee, on the other hand, you might know him for getting destroyed by Hamzat Chimaev, but in his last fight, it was actually a very competitive fight against Angelosa, where I was very impressed by his performance. So, in this fight, despite Njokuani losing his last 3, I think his power is going to be too much for Reese McKee. So I got Shitty Njokuani by first or second round knockout. Next fight on the card is a battle between Bill Algeo and Kyle Nelson. So this is an interesting one, with Bill Algeo being Bill Senior Perfecto Algeo being very good with jiu-jitsu, and Kyle Nelson kind of just being he has very heavy hands. But I feel like in this fight, it will come down to Bill Algeo just playing a very tactical fight, just jabbing, just throwing leg kicks, might get it to the ground, and I got Bill Algeo by submission, Bill Algeo by submission. But don't get it twisted. Kyle Nelson has some good power, and he could crack Algeo, but skill for skill, I got Bill Algeo winning this one by submission. All right, next up on the card is a battle between Nursultan Rizabayev and Cedric Dumas. Now, I got Rizabayev in this one. I was very impressed in his debut against Bruno Ferreira, who he knocked out in the first. Bruno Ferreira is a very highly touted prospect with lots of potential, so that has aged well. Dumas, on the other hand, he had a lot of potential coming into the UFC, but he didn't really live up to the hype, He's had some pretty mediocre performances. He lost to Josh Fremd in his last... he beat Cody Bumdage, but that doesn't really tell us much. So, in this fight, I got Rizabayev, and I think it might be a first-round brutal knockout, to be honest. Alright, next up on the card is a battle between none other than Chris the All-American Weidman and Bruno Silva. Now, Chris Weidman, former champ, legend, but I think he's been past his prime for a while now. Ever since that Luke Rockhold fight, I feel like he's never been the same. He took a lot of damage in that Rockhold fight. The very next fight after that, he got brutally kneed by Yoel Romero. He's a fighter who's been plagued with injuries, and I just think Father Time has come up. He's 39. He got that brutal leg break against Uriah Hall, and then in his comeback fight 3 years later against Bruno Silva, his legs were chopped and messed up badly. So I honestly don't know why he hasn't retired yet. I think Bruno Silva, although I think he took a lot of damage in that Pereira fight and he hasn't been the same, I think Silva still has crazy power, as shown when he knocked out Brad Tavares in the first, whom Weidman just lost to in his last fight. So I think Bruno Silva is just going to be too powerful for Weidman, and I think he knocks him out, sadly. Huge Weidman fan, though. Next up, we got the people's main event, Vicente Luque versus Joaquin Buckley. Now, Vicente Luque, you might have known about the brain bleed he suffered against Jeff Neal, but he rebounded after that fight by beating Rafael Dos Anjos by decision, where he used his grappling. Now, he didn't showcase much of his stand-up in that fight. Maybe he was trying to protect his head because of that brain bleed. But against Joaquin Buckley, he's going to have a different strategy, because Joaquin Buckley is a finisher, and he knocks people out. Joaquin Buckley is 2-0 at welterweight after making his welterweight debut, coming off a with a head kick knockout over Andre Fiallo and a decision win over Alex Morono. But Luque is a huge step above those fighters, and if this was prime Luque, easily Vicente Luque wins this. But I don't know, man. I feel like he might not be the same after that Jeff Neal fight. So nonetheless, I feel like Luque still finds a way to get it done. This is a very hard fight to pick, but I'm going with Luque by... I'm going Luque by decision. I don't see a knockout in this one, to be honest. Alright, on to the main event. We got Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. So, Aaron Blanchfield, known for grappling, very good grappler, and Manon Fiorot, giant for the weight class, very good stand-up. But Fiorot still got tagged by Rose Namajunas, who was only fighting with one hand in that match since she broke her hand. So this is a tough one to pick, but I feel like Blanchfield is going to be able to get Fiorot down to the canvas, and I see her submitting Fiorot. So my official prediction for this fight: Aaron Blanchfield via submission in round 3. Alright, those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Blanchfield versus Fiorot. Let me know what you think, and until next time.